Everyone lived, everyone died. Everyone loved, everyone cried. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, peace, make peace, peace, alright. Isn't it time for to stop time? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting in the head. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace, alright. Peace. Everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, 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 alright. Isn't it time for to stop time? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting in the head. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace, alright. Peace, peace, together. Peace.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, just like Art Bell would say on his Coast to Coast show at one time. And I'm your host, Derek White Sky Cloud. Thank you guys for joining me. I am very late tonight. Try to get back into the chat room, but YouTube always likes to play little games. You know, the usual. They like to say, you can't do this, can't say that. You got warning, you got warning, you got warning. I don't care. I don't. I really don't care what they think. Honest to God, I don't. Thank you guys for joining me on the Facebook chat room as well as YouTube. So if you guys can't find me on, if you can't get into Facebook, get into YouTube. I'm in both chat rooms. I've also placed my chat room inside of Telegram on my True North Strong free page. So either way, you can try and see if you can flip yourself in back and forth, but you try and get yourself inside. That's as much as I try to do for you guys. Down the road, I'm going to end up trying to um, add on more, to add on all the rooms, right? So it's important. Yeah, thank you for joining up in Connecticut, and those are actually in the U.S. as well, Canada. We've got some people from all across the world, Australia. Thanks, guys, for being part of this. There's a lot to talk about tonight, and I thought it was interesting because I want to talk about really, first of all, well, it's a little bit different, but I will say congratulations to our new mayor in Surrey, British Columbia, here in Bradford, in BC. And congratulations to her. She finally got in, and now she's the new mayor. I'm not going to mention her name. It's okay. She knows who she is. So now we don't have the ex-mayor McCallum anymore being corrupt as well as always. So we got rid of him, sort of. We haven't gotten rid of the guy completely because he's still the director of the SPS, which is the Surrey Police Service. He's a director. So if he's going to lose his position as being mayor, he'll make sure he's going to try and keep the police in Surrey. This guy is, I don't know. Anyways, the guy's being investigated. There's like 4 or 5 counts against him right now. So the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are the ones that are, they're federal police. They're actually investigating him as we speak. And it's going to be a good one, boys. I'm telling you, I predicted this already. I predicted this months and months and months ago that he's going to be walking out fancy jewelry, and it's going to happen. I know it will. I had a dream about it. I envisioned it. I knew it was going to happen. So, you know, so what can I say? Yeah. So that's what it works. Then, anyways, the show, a lot of people are asking me or saying, I thought your show was supposed to be spiritual. It is spiritual. I try to bring as much information as possible to bring in positive energy, positive information, because you need to, folks. There are people that need to be awakened out there. They're still not willing to wake up, and I don't know what it is. I'm hearing still from people like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to go to work. I don't want to hear it. Well, you're going to have to hear it soon, because when they have that lockdown again, you're going to have to freaking hear it. So, when it comes up, and that lockdown is going to happen sometime around the end of this year, I will say the end of this year. Now, they're giving you the heads up, folks. Okay. And they're going to have their little journey. And one thing that I was informed about, and they're adamant about this, the people that, when we do have our martial law, and it's going to be international martial, it's not going to be just local, and not just the U.S., not just Canada, everywhere across the world, it's international martial law. There will be military for every country, every province, you name it, everywhere. This is international law. It will be in control. No more deep state, no more bad people. They're done. Okay. And like I always tell people, remember the 5th of November. Thank you, Keith. Because basically that is what this is. This is going to come up, and it's going to scare the living crap right out of the bad guys. We have still the odd person that is a pedophile that still thinks that he or she's going to get away with it. You're done, folks. I don't care if you were released and you're going after kids again. You're done. They know who you are. They're going to pick you up. Okay. We've got actors and actresses, entertainers, and they're still part of Hollywood, and you folks are still don't see it. A lot of them actually, in what I have seen, and you may not like to hear it, But I've seen criminal files, not criminal files, let's say copies of it. These are military files. I've seen copies of it. The folks that were arrested, taken to Guantanamo Bay, we call Gitmo. They're taken there and they're under military tribunal. They had been tried and or do life in prison and or taken out. They're done. Okay, they're on the list. You don't just try someone and release them. Okay, unless they capitulated for a reason. But most of them on that list tells you what happened to them. And the ones that I've seen so far, and yet you see them on TV or in movies going like, wait a minute here, he or she is gone. Why to say they're gone? They're dead here, but yet they're living here. They're called clones, folks. Clones, okay? Not actors, clones. And these clones, what they do is they take the soul from the person that they've taken out and transferred his soul to the clone, which means they have no violence in them. No attributes of satanic fellowship or fellowship. They are pure as pure can be because clones cannot go evil. Not the way it's supposed to be. So what they'll have is a consciousness that were basically all their good intentions were who they were at the time. They will not have anything evil corrupted in their, I would just say, their data. Nothing corrupted there as positive. So if you do see any of these actors that are supposed to be um, taken out, and then again they're here as clones, because I can name some right now that are clones, and I've seen some of the actors, some of the singers actually glitch on stage. Literally, they glitched on stage. Their eyes like this, and they were like, they'd stop and they'd shimmy and they block and they got their eye falling apart and something added weird and people going, hey, and going, there, guys, it's a clone. So you learn, you will learn, you know. Now, if you see me looking away from the either two screens, I looking at two screens, the two cameras at the same time, one's above the other. So if you see me move my head up and down, it's because I'm talking to two cameras. Okay. So the thing is that here's what's going on. So the thing is that people still think that everything's fine and nothing's going to happen anymore. No, it's as corrupt can be. It's in control. Okay, it is controlled. I will say this: you're not going to lose it. Yes, Katy Perry. Yeah, that's the one. Katy Perry had a breakdown. Well, Katy Perry is the one that actually she was already taken out a long time ago. Okay, she was a baby with chopsticks. Okay, so they took her out. Um, that's why. And if you ever seen her first video before the lockdown or when the lockdown happened, she was acting really freakish, like really weird, because she was not getting any more adrenochrome. And she started acting weird. And if you notice, a lot of actors were acting weird, going off the glitz. And when you go through the withdrawals of adrenochrome, okay, which is actually baby's blood, and you're on all-time, withdrawals, then you come down with Kuru, and Kuru is deadly. It's worse than anything. You think the word C19 was deadly? That's nothing. That was just to get you sick. Kuru is the disease. Anybody who's in contact with Kuru, you might as well say goodbye. There's no cure for it. Okay? I'm serious. I'm not kidding you. So that's what I'm saying. And it's very hard for anyone right now. A lot of actors, and you'll notice some of their facial features have changed since the C19 times. After the C19 times, these people acting different. They're a little more fuller in the face, or their eyes aren't right. They're too perfect. If you look at, I don't know, quite a few of them. And then some of them were replaced by other singers like Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga was replaced because Amy, yeah, Amy Winehouse. She's the one that's taking her place. So she's playing Gaga right now. Winehouse is alive, so she's taking her spot. So now Winehouse is a girl, and she replaced a boy, which was Gaga. Okay, so now she's on the scene doing her thing, and which I think is fantastic. So there are some singers, okay, that supposed to be are gone, passed away, but now and actors, and they will take off for a month or two or a couple of years, and they'll come back and play somebody else. They're replacing the bad one, and they'll take that role for a while until they come forward and say, "Here I am." Even though Amy Winehouse had this little birth or beauty mark on her chin, that you can easily cover that up to look like, and she looks like they knew she looked like a pretty close to what Gaga would look like, and she looks like Gaga. She tries to sing like her. She impersonated her. She tried to learn to be like her, and she's done a good job. So if you think Gaga is alive, no, Winehouse is taking her place. Okay, there are other actor or other even politicians. For example, there's even a famous singer. I'm sure you guys know that. He became a politician. And I'm not talking about Sonny Bono. Okay, and supposedly he took, and the fellow's name was Rush Limbaugh. Now the word Rush is number one. I've never heard of any man, any boy, by any means, anywhere in the world call their kid Rush. Right? So especially when this man is of our age. So you know very well he's from the band Rush. You guys know who that lead player singer was that's supposed to have died. Well, if you look at the photos, if you guys that are awake, you guys know. Okay, Rush Limbaugh is not dead. He, he had to play the role of being dead to take some time off because he's coming back and he's going to freak you guys out because he's coming back as who he really is. Right? That's how it works. And it's not going to be long. We're not waiting until 2024. It will not be 2024 that Trump comes forward and does his election. It won't be 2024. Way before that. He's coming forward way, way before that. How can anybody hold out another year and a half for this? Right? And I'm a Canadian. Okay? I'm a Canadian, guys. So, how come I'm beginning to know I'm beginning to know more about American history than I am my own country. I'm beginning to know more about what's going on across the border than I am actually in my own country. Why? Because there was a man in that U.S. country that has been doing everything he has possibly can with his partners, not him alone, but other people he's working with side by side for all these years, have been taking out the deep state for the longest time. And this, I don't blame this man for if he's exhausted. Sometimes he needs to take some time off. I don't blame him. If you want to go play golf somewhere, take time off in golf because every time he swings that club on that ball, I'm sure he thinks that ball is deep state. You should write a name on that ball. Okay, you guys, anybody that knows Trump close enough or anybody knows him well, get Trump to write the name deep state or I don't know, swamp on the ball, and then he can focus on that, cleaning up the swamp, right? So you put it on the golf ball, and you'll know what it means. Well, Trump and Corlin, yeah, Trump actually says needs to save us, Canada. We have been saved in Canada. Trump was here from the very beginning. He got rid of Trudeau. Trudeau was taken away July 19th, 2019. He was actually arrested and taken to Guantanamo Bay as well. He's gone. He's history. Okay, and he's been taken out. He's bye bye. The one you see right now that's in Parliament here is not real. He is another actor. Now, in our newspaper, it says that Trudeau showed up in Surrey, British Columbia here just a few days ago, wanted to come to a school and see the children. Gee, I wonder why, pedo. Okay, because he's craving, and this is a hint to you guys to stop him, right? So he's up in here in Surrey, in one of our schools, or maybe more than one school, and he wants to talk to the kids, and I don't know why, he's trying to get the kids to be influenced. Mommy, I love Trudeau. No, you don't. Now, here's something that really gets me. I was shopping at a place called Crazy Bins. You guys got to know this place. It's funny as heck. There's actually, when you go into this business in this building, they have all these upright tabletop bins, and each day the price is set. So it's $50 for one day, and the next day is 25, next day is 20 or 10, the next day is $5 and $1, and for the whole 7 days, and then they change them to do something else. It's called Crazy Bins. Anyways, I was there, and a young lady was in there working, one of the workers, and I was going through a whole bunch of stuff, flipping through the things in each tables, and every table had flags, like all these flags and packages, F Trudeau, and they had the Canadian flag. Even on there's baseball caps, there's caps in there says F Trudeau. They're all spread over there. So whoever ordered these didn't pick them up. There's flags galore. And then the girl says, I don't know why. Young lady says to me, she goes, I don't know why people don't like him. And I looked at her and are you kidding me? And she said out loud, I don't know why people don't like him. I don't know why they're just saying F Trudeau. I said, where are you from? She said, I'm from Iraq. I said, you're from Persia. She goes, well, no, I'm from Iraq. It used to be called Persia. And I said, you're from Iraq, right? She goes, yes. So how long have you been in Canada? Well, I can't tell you. Why? Well, I can't tell you. It's against our. I go, excuse me? You can't tell me how long you've been in Canada. And I thought, okay, let me tell you something, lady. And I'm giving her the story about Trudeau. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Yes, he is. I told her bad things about him. Oh, no, you don't know. I said, really? Do you want proof? Here's your proof. And I'm showing him all the information I've got. And I'm showing this girl, young girl, okay, must be not even maybe 20-ish, early 20s. I'm showing her. And she goes, I don't believe it. I don't think he would do that. He's a nice man. See? Do you understand what I'm talking about, folks? The media has people believing that he's a hero, and the young ones are beginning to become more involved in accepting him now as a hero, right? So this is getting to be, we need to inform the youth for what Trudeau is. We need to inform the youth of how corrupt this government is. They have no idea, and they're being convinced because they watch TV every day. Why? Because there's music programs on. There's shows that they enjoy, and Trudeau always somehow is in there in a commercial. Hi, I'm your best friend. Even though there has been 3 or 4 charges against him actually in court for sexual assaults, as in rape, children, and he's paid every family member off. It's proven in court. There's the court files show it. He's paid everybody off to silence the child and the parents. And he still shows up at the schools, and you guys let him. Why does our country or any other country have the right to pay off a court or a family and sign a piece of paper for their silence so this person carry on to be a pedo? And we have a pedo leader in our country leading us. I remember times that he would actually, when Pride Day came on, he would go to Ottawa. He would take the our Canadian flag down and hang the Pride flag as if it's actually the major flag of Canada. It's not. That Pride flag has no bearing whatsoever of any authority whatsoever. It does not represent our country. None. I'm sorry. And then he wanted to put up another flag, which actually a new one that was made by him, which had the symbols of pedo in it, the colors of the pedos. So he's adding more shit in there, and you guys are accepting it. It's all over the stores. I went to Superstore just recently, and they got these big, huge freaking flags hung on their walls outside their businesses, and there was a pedo symbol on their wall of Superstore. Like, come on, guys. These huge corporate businesses are accepting all the pedophile flags now on the wall. Oh, you can't say you can't say that. Oh, they're just problem with people with themselves. Like, give me a break. Give me a break. You know? So, I mean, people are taught to be this way when they grow up. They see what people have done before them. A boy does not grow up to become a pedophile. He learned it from someone else, whether he was attacked by someone who also was a pedophile previous. You don't just become one. You learn from how you were physically experienced or what you had seen. You become so corruptly, your brain becomes so corrupt that you believe that it's part of your turn on. And that's got to stop. God's never accepted that whatsoever. And yet society says, oh, don't listen to God's words. I'm the leader here. I'm a God. Really? No, you're not. Trudeau thinks he's a God. He says he's a God. Many times he said that in Parliament. I'm a God. Hey, we are all gods. No, you're not. You're an idiot. Right? So, yeah. Anyways, I wanted to share that with you. And that's happening here in Canada. Now, something else that I was listening to that I was very in shock, or I should be shocked, because we were warned ahead of time. There was someone actually mentioned it earlier, that there was going to be this letters, 4 or 5 letters coming out, X, whatever have you, this new V is going to come out and everybody's going to have to get them more jobs. That's not just one. There's another one coming out called the quadrivalent quadrivalent vaccine. And these are going to be used for people over 65 years old. And the quadrivalent is for 2 influenzas, one of the flu, and the other is the C. They're adding 4 shots into one for over 65. It's going to freaking kill you. They offered it on radio, and it's on the website now. You know, what? Scott says the U.S. Department awarded $21,000 for drag shows in Ecuador. I don't mind drag shows, guys, but there's a difference between playing the drag queen role, trying to pretend to be someone or some, entertainer, but then some others go too far, where they take it and take advantage of the children. You know what I mean? There's a difference. Yes, like this is the thing, folks. That's what's called the quadrivalent, and I will explain that one to you. Yeah, is quadrivalent vaccine, they call it, and it's 4 in 1 for adults over 65 and older. It was just brought out, and here's the side effects. If there are side effects, they can't help you with it. You're on your own, because they still want you to sign the paper. Okay, you accepted this. We'll give this to you. Okay, and I will say this. I'm going to take this picture with my camera, So guys, if you'll have, pardon me, you'll have to do the Facebook to have a look at the screen. I'm going to show you. That's the page, Flu 360, CSL. Okay. Now they're talking about choosing an influenza vaccine that is preferentially recommended. That means that there's not proven that work. Okay. So they're putting it for everything they call influenza, but it also, the fourth one is called the CO. So they're actually adding 4 to 1, and this is approved for patients over 65 years old. Why do we need that? And why? Here, I'll ask people all the time. Like, I mean, ask some doctors. I said, why do people have to have flu shots? Well, your immune system's really low, and this is going to help you not get the flu. I said, well, what's the ingredients inside the flu shot? Well, I can't really say too much about it. I mean, it does have the flu in it, the derivative of the flu, just to make sure that you don't get sicker. If it builds up it's supposed to help build up your immune system, but we really haven't proven that its effectiveness if it actually carries on. And sometimes you have aches and pains in your joints, and sometimes it'll feel like arthritis. It's time people may have had a heart attack or a stroke, or we don't know. Really? That was their words. They have to tell you the truth. The doctor can't lie to you. It's not supposed to, right? So you'll see it if you have a look in that page, okay, Flu 360, and it shows you in there, and it is not good. It is not good. And no, I would never even touch that. Never. That's horribly wrong. So yeah, that they're still going to keep on trying to see how far they can get away with it. Thing is, here's the thing, folks. I just love saying the story. I get excited. The more these fake buggers will try to get you jabbed and think they're going to get away with it, they're going to get a visit from the military, because when we have that lockdown, they're still going to come. They're going to come get you. And even though that these radio talk show, television talk show hosts, and they want to help support this in these other jab shots and whatever have you, and they already know the side effects to them, they're going to be picked up too. There's no tolerance anymore. Zero tolerance. They're going to come and get you. You are done. It's over. So they're trying to hang on to what's left. And, you know, like I said before, I noticed the elders are getting more aware of what's going on. They don't want to get touched. There's more elders now are really awakening, because I talked to a lot of them. It's the kids. The kids, the ones that are in their just young teens, they have no idea what's going on. All they know is, I got to get back to school. I miss my friends. Or whatever. They're not paying attention. They don't pay attention to any of this unless their parents tell them all about it and they go, oh, Mom, Dad, you're crazy. Or the opposite. The kid's awake, the parents will say the kids are crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. So there's always going to be someone who's awake somewhere in the family. And this is what the mainstream media has been told to do. They're told to separate families, to basically stop loving each other. And the thing is that people like myself, I don't have a hate word in me. I don't hate people for what they do. I feel sorry for them for that they decide to allow themselves to go too far and sell their soul to the devil, because they did, to be famous. I mean, it was an ongoing joke for years and generations. Well, you're willing to sell your soul to the devil, and I'll make you famous. And they were really serious. You opened up that bloodstream, but you got to sacrifice a family member, and you're done. That was their goal. And then the second one, you have to give up your. And if you had any kids of your own, you have to give up your first child, and that child's being sacrificed as well. I mean, this is how sick it was. And if you have other kids, you're going to reverse their sexes. If they're born boys, they'd be girls, and if they're born girls, they have to be boys. That's what they wanted. This is how their satanic organization ran. All part of, you know what? It's been run that way for a long, long time, and there were even politicians that are in that same direction. I remember watching. I remember hearing of a show called Red Shoe Diaries, and I thought it was all to do with, you know, Red Shoe Diaries. That means a woman wears red shoes, and they're playing passion and looking for love and that sort of thing. And it's going to be not bad of a show. And find out later, it's just all to do with romance. But they use it specifically to get people to wear women, to get women, not men, just even men, to wear red shoes a lot. So they're thinking that red shoes is okay for men to wear. Find out later that it's part of a pedo organization. Red shoes represents pedophilia. So it became a sickness. And this is part of their group. This is part of their organization. It gets to be crazy, you know? Yeah, he does. The Pope wears red shoes. And all of his cardinals wear red shoes. Mind you, when the Pope came to Canada, I mean, the fake Pope came to Canada, he wore military boots, black boots, not shoes, boots, black army boots, shining, spit polished, just like the rest of the cardinals, whoever came with him, shiny black boots, spit polished. That's military, folks. Okay? That was no Pope. It was an actor. And you guys fell for it. And some of you are going to say, oh, you're crazy. You know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was real. No, it wasn't. I know what the Pope looked like. And there's a lot of people can tell you right now that are actually ministers, priests themselves, that know who the Pope really looked like, and that's not the Pope. They all said that's not him. The only people that they had you try to believe was trying to get them to believe was the First Nations. They wanted the First Nations and the indigenous people to believe that was the Pope. At first sight, oh, he's white. He must be the Pope. Oh, he's wearing this outfit. He must be the Pope. And that's exactly what they did. And they fell for it. And I felt bad for everyone that fell for it. Because I already know that originally the real Pope has been taken out a couple of years ago. Same with his cardinals. They're gone. It's already written in there. They can't hurt you no more. So anybody's out there right now, they're all either clones or actors. That's all they are, guys. Nothing more than that. So if you hear of any laws being passed, trust me, those people that try to pass those laws are not who they are. They're not the real people. They're not of birth. Their signatures are not valid. If Trudeau says he's going to shut down the world and take your property away from you, he can't, because the real one's dead. He's been dead a long time ago. This is a fake one. Sorry, folks. And I know it. I know he's been gone. I saw the video. I saw him being arrested. Someone sent me the video. I go, oh, you're kidding me. And I'm going, whoa, no way. I saw the video. He was handcuffed by the military. They shuffled him onto the plane, and Castro was in there with him. And they took him off to Guantanamo Bay in a military plane. Yeah. Then they came back and told the story, what happened to him. So I already know. And some friends of mine that did serve at Guantanamo Bay were there, not seeing the executions, but they're stationed there. And this is before even Trump was there. They were there when Obama was there, and how horrible a person he was there. He was torturing people that never got arrested. They were just grabbing these certain people that were possibly were whistleblowers. We're going to expose the government, so he got them scooped up and brought back to Guantanamo Bay and had them killed. I'm not kidding you guys. Our world is corrupt. There's many times, there's so many times that people were trying to whistleblow, and I mean, I'm not afraid. I mean, I know I can tell you stories, guys. There's a few times I whistleblowed and I damn near died. I got poisoned twice, and I never told anybody that. I got poisoned twice and survived it. If it wasn't for me having the knowledge how to stop the poison from going through me, I never would have survived it. This is not lie. This is absolute truth. Happened to me in Alberta, and twice in my travels. And I was investigating a specific subject of a person or persons, and then the second time I got poisoned again out in this area. And again, I took care, and I have a friend of mine who knows how to use traditional medicines, to kill the poison, because I had 2 weeks to live. And if I didn't take that, which he made me, I never would have been here right now. So, this is what they do. And there's a guy who actually had a business, who was like a whistleblower, and he actually had an alternative health store, and he was poisoned. Within 2 weeks, he died because he was going to expose the medical society, and they killed him off. So, and they poisoned him with the very same poison. And I can't mention the person's name that saved my life because I don't want her to get hurt. But been there, done that. I mean, my wife can tell you the second time I got poisoned, I was in Alberta. When I got there, as I was getting there, I was going to stay with some friends of mine, and I was suddenly sick before I got in the building, and I can barely stand. I was throwing up like crazy, like I was really, really bad, and my face was pure white, like as if I was at death's door, and I was trying to find a way to get rid of the poison, or just throwing up, and I realized after when I mean, I got to get some of my meds out, my own personal medicines. So I took charcoal. I had a handful of charcoal in my bag and swallowed them all. And what the charcoal does, it absorbs all the poison that forces it out of you. So you're throwing up black charcoal out of your gut, but you're cleaning it all up. It basically kills the poison. And then I took myself to the hospital. Could barely see through the windshield, and got to the hospital, and they put some saline into my system because I was lacking. My immune set, my saline was my body was way low. So when I got a couple of bottles shoved in my arm, I got up and walked out as if nothing ever happened. And it wasn't food poisoning, folks. It was for real. The guy said, because they checked my blood, and they said, whoever put that in you, that's uncommon. He said, I've never seen that before. It looked like somehow somebody gave you poison. He said, what's going on here? Like, why are you poisoned? And I said, can't tell you. I said, probably it was something that maybe meant for somebody else, and I am the one that got it. Like, I didn't want him to know. But the funny part of the story was, because I couldn't be, I'm a person that can't always be serious when you walk in, and that's the way it was. So when I was at the hospital, and this very Christian type of woman, she says to me, what do you do for a living? I said, well, I'm a psychic medium. And she goes, what? I said, I talk to the dead. And she's like, okay. Like, now she's like standoffish, right? So this other nurse comes in because she asked the other nurse to take her place, and she was putting the needle in my arm, and they couldn't barely find a spot in my arm. And she took a hot towel and put the needle in there. And at the same time, I was starting to feel like I'm still throwing up more. I was asking the lady for a small bucket to hang on to, and I'm throwing up the black charcoal. And I didn't tell the nurse that I swallowed charcoals. So I'm throwing up, and as I'm throwing, she's watching me from the door, this other nurse, the one that's really, really heavy Christian, and I'm throwing up the black, and she's And I'm going, I'm so sorry. I'm just getting the devil out of me. Her eyes, like, and she was zipping out the door, gone. Like I scared the crap, I got scared the crap out of her. So she took off, and the other nurse is like, snicker, snicker. And I said, it was charcoal. I swallowed charcoal. I said, but don't tell her. And she goes, I kind of figured that. And because she's an alternative, she likes the alternative as well. She knew that I wasn't just, but this other lady was so convinced. So after a couple hours, I got up and I thought I'd be staying the night at the hospital. I didn't stay the night, and I left very late, about 3, 4 in the morning. And I thanked the other nurse, and then she wouldn't even talk to me. She's like, I said, well, thank you very much for helping me through this, and I got rid of the devil out of me, and so I'll be fine. Take care. And as I'm walking out the door, and she's like this, like she pulling back this way, like, don't come near me. Oh, it was funny. I'm sorry, guys, but I like freaking people out. I enjoy it. So, no word of a lie is true. Absolutely true. There are people like that out there. And the only kind of people like her possibly could be born again Christian. The reason why she was that way. You can tell the difference between a person who's very, believes in God, and other people are born again Christians. They're a little more judgmental. So you get people like them. Let's see here. Fix that part there. It won't be so noisy. Yes. Now, like I said before, quadrivalent vaccines. I do not. You can make a decision, but like I said, they're offering them on radio and television to over 65 years old. Let those people know that's not what they're for. Okay, they're trying to come up with some other ideas to carry on, because Trudeau is even saying people, well, get your C-19, but also get your flu. Sean going like, what? And this man has never been jabbed in his life. He calls himself, I was, I didn't have to. So I told people, I said, you know what, that doesn't work that way. Why do politicians not have to get the jab, but he's the one that, and we are the ones supposed to have it? Doesn't make any sense. Or anybody in the military? Well, the military actually, a lot of them were forced to do it. I think but I think it depends, because I think at the time after Trump's people changed the jab, so it became not what it was. Nobody got sick after that. So, but there are still some derivatives left of some storage of old jabs that have been still shuffled away somewhere in cabinets, and they're still wanting to pull them out and use them on people. Okay, now, Trudeau's also wanting to do is he's coming up with the idea, or had decided, or he's going to decide to allow assisted suicide for teens or for children now. So basically, if a child is depressed, feeling depressed, and he or she don't want to be here, that he's offering the service of assisted suicide. Why? There's nothing medically wrong with the kid, but that's what he wants to do. He's offering the service of assisted suicide in Canada here. He's going to pass the bill that they can go and knock themselves off without approval of a parent. I'm not kidding you. Our country is going to the shit they come up with, folks. I'm sorry, So, yeah, like Layla says that you met many people with severe adverse effects from the jabs. I know I've got clients that come and see me, and they apologize to me for having 2 or 3 of the jabs. And I said, well, that's your decision, but you're going to feel the consequences after. So then I'm teaching them also. They said, well, what can I do to fix it? I said, well, then I'll tell you what you need to do. So I give them some guidance about alternative, right, to get them so they don't have to suffer through it. Now, only one young lady who I did do a reading for, and she had 4 brothers that were doctors and 2 sisters that were nurses. She refused to hear what I was trying to tell her, even though she was 4 times in the arm. And she was talking about her swollen arm and having problems and depression, and I'm going like, I'm telling her why. She didn't want to hear it. No, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Okay, fine. Let's go through the reading. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about you getting your stuff fixed. But I said, you're coming back to see me in about 6 months. If you don't do something about it, you're going to be actually ill yourself. And she wasn't willing to listen. So you're going to have the odd person thinks it because their family are doctors or nurses that they know more than we do. Think twice, folks, because sometimes these doctors get $signs plate in their hand. Here, I'll take it. Sure, okay, I won't say nothing. More money for me, the better. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. So again, the ones that got paid off and know they got paid off, they'll be picked up. They're going to be picking them up at the end of the year, and so they're going to regret what they had done. You're not going. No doctor or nurse, most doctors, should never make a profit on death. Never make a profit on death. Why? The only people that make profit on death are the people that work in the morgues. That's pretty well it. But they're burying it. They're burying the person. They take responsibility and spending the time away, preparing the body, and come up with some fantastic ideas to help to make the person presentable for the public and for the family. I mean, that's your profit there. But no doctor should have the right whatsoever. Um, None whatsoever. How long do you think you should be drinking the star anise? It's up to you. As long as you feel if you don't need to anymore for a while, then you don't have to. Like I said before, to tell people that it's used to cleanse adverse effects from jabs or people that are shedding from the jabs. And if sometimes it can affect us too. Sometimes we pick it up because you're inhaling some of their body, movements, orders. But it doesn't mean you have to stay away from them. Just once in a while, they're still studying the idea if shedding does cause you the unjabbed sick. We don't know. So I've never come across that many people. But the only thing I find that's hard on others is that, say, for example, there's a couple, and either the girl or guy gets the jab and one does not. And can it affect that person that transfers from making love? It's like smoking, you know. If one person's a smoker, the other one's not, and the nicotine's in your bloodstream transfers from you to the next person, it will sting. And I know people that have dealt with that, so you know. Okay, I got a lot of people in the chat room. Oh, my chat room is great, fantastic, guys, and thank you for being in the chat rooms. Stu Peters, yes, Stu Peters is. Funny thing about Stu Peters, from the very beginning, before he got started into the being in media, he was a Freemason himself. Did you know that? And what he learned from his Freemasonry, I guess the exposure of it and what was the results, he got out of it, and he went totally 360, became the good guy. The Stu Peters actually was the opposite. He actually was promoting the satanic stuff long before. So his life changed. So again, I don't judge people for what they're doing, because we all have to wake up. We all have to see the truth in ourselves. And if we are the bad guy, yeah, nobody knew that, did they? Yeah, Thomas, he did. He was a follower, satanic follower, and he was also a Freemason. Yeah, and I've got pictures of him before he got into the industry. But again, I don't judge people for what they've done, because I mean, there's many, 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 many stars, movie stars, singers, entertainers, people in the field, all were Freemasons, but they see the innocence of it. They're thinking it's just some sort of a secret society that is no harming anyone. When they find out later that it harms children, they make that decision whether they want to stay or go. And that's why, for example, even John Wayne was a Freemason. But when he found out what was going on, what really was going on, and he was going to expose, John Wayne himself, the Duke, was going to expose the child sacrifices. When he found out about that, he quit. But as he was going to quit, they told him, well, if you quit, we're going to kill your kids. So John Wayne had to get placed sick, and he said, well, he has cancer. So he starved himself to look as if he had cancer. Okay. But I will say this to you guys: you may not know this, but the Duke is still very much alive. Yes, John Wayne is still alive, and so I'm looking forward to seeing the Duke come back. And then his son, again, there's always a story to everything, folks. Why do you think his son, Patrick Wayne, never got really totally famous in the Hollywood scene? Because the Duke told him, son, don't go too far into the Hollywood industry because you'll go through what I'll go through. So his son just played part and bit roles. He didn't do full time. And anytime he ever worked in any kind of movie, he always worked with his dad. He never worked for anybody else because he was safe. So there's always a story to everything, folks. And same with Lucille Ball. She saw things that were going on, and she was in her 70s at the time, late 60s, early 70s, when she already knew what was going on, but she had to figure out how to way to make her escape. So she had to plan her leave, and so she faked her death as well. Lucille Ball is still alive too. Same with Elizabeth Montgomery. Bewitched. Um, and if it really is, anybody who's ever played those roles on Bewitched with one of the guys that plays Darren, the first one, Dick York. I wouldn't put it past possibly he was also played. He had to die. He had to fake his death too. It's very possible. There are some famous stars that had to play the game and to fake their way out. When they make their return, I mean, there are some people. Let's put it this way: if Tupac Shakur can do an excellent job by disappearing for a while, next thing you know, he's on stage doing his rap, but he's playing somebody else, but people believe it. And Tupac's still here, very much alive. Yeah, John Wayne's still very much alive. Yeah, he's still alive. Born 1907. Yeah, he's almost. I think it's 100, almost 100. Yeah, he's still here. I've seen pictures of him. I was like, wow. Yeah. Well, look at John F. Kennedy Sr., like the real president of the United States. He's still alive. He's still alive, folks, and he's been running the country. You know. Yeah. So people, there are. Don't forget now, folks. These med beds that are coming, that had come out, they came out a long time ago, and they're helping to keep you alive. Remember, there is a young lady, her name is Sky, and she talks about the med beds, and I'm not sure if you guys know about this, but the med beds can actually regenerate your age. You can go back 30, 40 years if you so choose, and you can, you know, um, if you're going to say, if you're 60, 65, or 70, and you want to regenerate back, they can take you back, and you can lose. They'll take away or give away, how do you say it? They'll give you another 30 more years or 40 more years, and you can keep on going. I think you're able to do that 3 times. So you can live way over 100. I think it's about 150 or 100 and almost 200 years you can live for almost there. And if you do pass that or almost want to go further, if you live longer, then you may have to become a clone. Your consciousness will be transferred over to a clone. So that's how it works. Yeah. Yeah. We don't, I, like I said before, there's a lot of bad people out there that they're accused of being bad. And yes, they did harm to children. I mean, for example, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now you'll see him. They're promoting the movie, his movie Black Adam, and yet on the list, on the Gitmo list, it says that he was already taken out. Right now, on his older videos, it says that he actually was eating kids. Okay, that he was a cannibal, practicing cannibal, that he was a adrenochrome user. That's why he was able to take on Hollywood so much. He sold his soul. But again, how come he acts different? Because when I see him on TV now, he's a different kind of person. He's much more smoother. He's more nicer. He's carries a lot of knowledge that probably the other Dwayne did not. But again, his physical features are not the same as the one that I remember, say 4 or 5 years ago. Physical features are just the facial features are different. You have to look at their face, guys. Look at their eyes. If you see a fly, this is how you can get away with finding out if a person's a clone. If you see a fly sitting on that person's face and not even move, you're talking to a corpse. Okay? Because the senses don't turn on. They don't feel that fly on their face from a clone. They don't. All they feel is just the movement, the emotion. So us, our skin's so sensitive. We feel a fly in our face, we're going like this. Well, I've seen a couple of flies on their faces on TV. Obama had a fly on his face; it wouldn't leave. Trump's had his vice president. He had a fly on his face. In fact, the fly was sitting on his head, never moved. There was Hillary. There was quite a few flies landing on people's faces, and some of the politicians, their face and the facial features never even went, get the fly out of here. In fact, I think there was a bee sitting on one of them. Somebody, oh yeah, that was it. There was our premier, Doug Ford, swallowed a bee and didn't feel the sting. He's our premier of Ontario. Didn't feel the sting. Did you guys get it? Premier Doug Ford, he just went, swallowed it. That's what it'll be. That was it. Never feel like you always would feel the sting or the burn. Just swallowed it. So what does that tell you? Mike Pence, yes. Remember that one, guys? The fly on the head? That's because he was a clone. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. You wanted to smell what the Rock is cooking. He was talking about children. There was a story. There was actually one of the videos says he was actually asked a boy how old he was. He says 13. Oh, he says, you're too young to eat. Or you're too young. I can't eat you. And he called that a joke, but that was serious. Like a certain age, that's what they do. Pick and chew. You know, you guys actually get the story of the character Pikachu? Pick and chew. To get it? Pick and chew. That's why they call it Pikachu. because those games were representing children that were chasing them down. Each one had a character. Think about it. Yeah, big child grabbing wrestlers holding their arms out for praise. Yeah. Files are wonderful, but what are you doing? What am I doing? Yeah. So the thing is that um, there's so many things that we are seeing or shown on film, even on TV in front of our faces. We are seeing, uh, like for example, they canceled the TV series, or that TV series. I think it was a movie or cartoon. Disney actually was going to release a movie about a teenage girl who actually was inbred by the devil, and she was impregnated by the devil, and they were going to make that into a movie for children, and the child would be born as the Satan's child. And Trump's people said, no, you're going too far. That's enough. You're going to do it, right? So they canceled that show. And there was actually another one too of about 12 little girls who learned about dancing. They wanted to do their own dancing routine. These girls were 10, 12 years old in school, and they learned from strippers. They went to a nightclub, secretly snuck into a nightclub and watched the strippers doing their dances on the stage, gyrating. And so these little girls took that very same idea and did it in their gyration for and again dance contest, and that got stopped. So that came out during the C19 times, and the parents, the kids' parents, were actually in the movie watching their own kids dancing, and they were in shock to know how, because they didn't know that their kids can do the kids were supposed to do the gyrations, but they were acting like little adults, like gyrating to the point of as if they're grinding, sexual movement, that sort of thing, and that's exactly where we went too far. So a lot of people complained about that, so they stopped that from happening. That movie, it was released for a short period of time, and then they shut it down. Scott says, I saw the Robin Williams video on Telegram. I must admit I was floored. Yes. Well, he works for Trump. Yeah. Robin's very much alive. Robin Williams is very much alive. He works for Trump. And do you guys remember there's a movie that came out, I think it was, I would say, middle 2000, where Robin Williams played the President of the United States. Okay. He took that role to pretend to be someone so then he could practice to disappear. And that's what he did, because he met Donald then. And then he had to fake his death because he knew his child was in danger, because Zoe would have, one of his child, Zoe, I think Zoe? I could be wrong with the name. But anyways, one of the kids would have been sacrificed, and he did not want to do it. So he played the role of having brain issues or a condition, and he's supposed to have committed suicide. Well, he was never sick. He had to play that role. And how would you find a man putting a coat hanger around his neck and supposed to hang from that off a doorknob sitting down on the ground? It doesn't make any sense. But they accepted it as suicide. But that was a hint to the public to say that was a setup, saying that here's a warning, right? So to other actors, saying if you don't do as we say as we do, you're not going to be here anymore. So there's always different varieties of takeouts that you make your exit, and that's what they did. A lot of actors and actresses had to make their exits in different ways to protect their family, and so they played the role of either suicide and or either suicide or overdosing or whatever have you, or even a sickness of sort. And that's exactly what they did for years. So, and some of them actually played this role of disappearing, like never coming out, like, oh, he disappeared, well, he must have been kidnapped. I mean, yeah, that's why you see so many stories. And oh, and Ringo Starr got really sick all of a sudden, and he came down with the C19. Did you get it? Ringo Starr came down with C19 suddenly. Yep. Uh, so I do. Do I still do readings? Yes, very much. I do. I always do. Always have been all my life. Um, let's see here. So I'm going to clear this up. And also, have you guys noticed um, our weather lately? I mean, even though we've had strange weather in the skies, a lot of sightings of ships, airships, and I'm not talking about planes, folks. I mean, a lot of sightings of UFOs, more and more all the time. We had a sighting of over 1,000, possibly around approximately over 1,000 UFOs in the stars in the skies that were lining up, and these weren't There were some not satellites, folks. Um, these were Arcturians and many others were in the skies watching us, seeing us, what we do. They're they're basically preparing to come down and assist us. So, and they're working with the military. So this is they're making preparations to not invade, but to take care of us, right? So, Thomas, you attempted a fly joke. Sorry, my friend, didn't work, eh? His name is Buzzy Lazar, the fly. He was an actor. He was actually one of those acting flies. He pretends to be there, and it's a joke from Robin Williams. Um, yeah, there are many military aircraft, but oh, they're around your place. Yeah, probably. If you see military aircraft around a lot, that means that they're active in the skies and they're making sure that they're being prepared to get ready to get started. We're looking at some major changes here. It's going to be it's going to kick ass. I mean, it's a good thing, a very good thing. For what I had seen in my visions, um, uh, you're going to see. For when I had seen myself, oh, here we go. I can feel them. Every time I yawn, it's an energy coming in from them. It's a higher energy. It's really crazy level. Um, the energy shift is right now is shifting, and some people are going through the depression. Whether you are having a hard time accepting it or not, and that's why I'm noticing like this. For example, we've had I would say about 3 or 4 days of gray, deep gray skies, really deep gray skies. I mean, dark gray skies, and that's because all the ships are behind them, and they're checking out anything that's negative that's going to be taken out. Like they're picking them up. So anything that's illicit, and if anybody's playing with witchcraft, anything in the negative that they're trying to embody that energy to go after people like us, they're going to try to the end before that gets taken away from them. So the Arcturians, Sumerians, Palladians, they're coming in and they're going like, "You're done, guys. You can't hurt people anymore. Enough is enough." So they're doing a major cleanup. They're helping. They will be assisting the military, special forces. I call the Alliance, Special Alliance. They're coming in to take care of it. So that's all I can say on that part. Yeah, and like I tell people, if it's really cloudy, it does not mean you're going through the rains and you're going through the winters. No, those cloudy skies are there for. Those are basically that's covered up for a reason because they're all establishing different locations where they'll be playing their bases. But if anybody's actually been in a plane before and you're flying past those clouds into the sky, you'll start seeing those bases being placed across the world. you will start to begin to see bases, and everyone's now getting more and more sightings of triangular bases or triangular ships and or um, long hot dog version type of ships. There is one sighting, I will say, there was one sighting of it very, and it's true, absolutely similar. And I saw the video, someone sent it to me, and I thought it was from a movie, but it was for real. The guy video recorded it in the Netherlands, I think, or somewhere in that area, and it was looked like a chunk of the earth lifted in the air, and it looked like the under earth in a triangle base, but there was a building on top of it. It looked like a castle. I'll call it a castle, for example, and it was huge, and it was levitating in the sky. Um, and that was like it looked like almost like a ship was going across, and that was, when did I see that one? Oh God, months ago. And that was who did send that one to me? One of the guys, and one of the ladies from England, she sent me one of my friends from England. She sent me a video of at 5 a.m. She was told to go to the window and turn on her video recorder, and she did. And the sky, the blue disappeared, like the sky blue disappeared, as if you open up a drapery, and there was a giant planet, a huge planet, and the stars were there, high giant planet right next to our planet. And then it was there for about 10 minutes, and then that thing just brushed over again and disappeared. And that was the real world. We're closer than you think. You guys may not realize we're closer to the planets than you think. We're not as far as you say we are. We're not that far away. In fact, if you want to go to the moon, you'd be there within hours, not days or months. So, or Mars, Venus, you name it, you're not going to take forever and ever because they know how to get there quickly. But we're dumbed down. We've been dumbed down by the government for so long, by the bad guys. They're just saying you're not supposed to go there. So they'll always fake things out to make you believe that they're there. Um, yeah, you're right, Travis. A lot of the bases and ships are cloaked right in front of us in the sky. You're right, because they take shapes that looks like a cloud, but actually it's not a cloud. It's a ship. In fact, it'll take the shape of a ship in a cloud. I don't see a horse look like a unicorn, a Pegasus, but you know. Scott says Black Hawk helicopters, C-30, 130, C-5, C-F-15s, some low flying to treetop height. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you guys, they're not kidding around. They're cleaning up. Oh, also too, right now, there's as far as I understand it, they're still cleaning up the underground bases. There's still more cleanups even out here. They're still going after what's left in Penticton. So Penticton, BC, according to Gene Code, they're down there right now cleaning up from underground. There, it was pretty bad as well, and it's leftovers from the mudslide we had in the Coquihalla Highway, but it's further back, more underground tunnels, also underground Chinese military base there. That got taken out. So, and it's under a lake under a lake. So it's crazy you guys think. You may not realize, but it's absolutely nuts. Yes, thank you, John Daniel, for coming into the chat room. Lots here. Yeah. There's guys, I'm telling you, there's so much happening here right now. It's getting more and more. It's exciting. I mean, I'm not mad. Like I tell people, you got to stay above yourself. Don't let yourself feel down, depressed if you can. The only people that allow themselves to stay in the depression are the ones that are not what I do. You're just living your regular daily life. But if you keep on watching TV all the time and you see Parliament, they're always arguing back and forth amongst each other, and accusation, that's only a play. It's just a play. They're trying to keep it going to make it look as if it's so big. And you guys need to understand half those people already that were part of Trudeau's cabinet have already been taken out. Half his cabinet's already gone. The rest of them, a lot of them actually been taken away. They're already behind bars. You'll see very few people right now in the cabinet with Trudeau. Um, and as far as liberals are concerned, they've been, and the only people that are the nasty ones is Krista Freeland and Trudeau. Those two are the nasties, and she is the real Krista Freeland is not her. This is not who you think this is. This is another girl playing her. So the real Krista Freeland was taken out a long time ago. Okay, Daniel says I'm always just like I always just think that we are like an air bubble in ocean. When I look at the sky, interesting enough, stars are sound vibrations on water, and they're fascinating to zoom in on. Visible sound on water. I truly believe that in reality, everything is sound taking parabolic form. Hence the logos and much of what the Greek philosophers like Plato would try to explain. And that is my take. You know what, Daniel? You're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at the Herculean time period, okay, when Hercules existed, Plato and all that, they're trying to expose the truth. I mean, you guys need to remember one thing, folks. The practice of Greek mythology, for example, when they call it Greek mythology, when there is centaurs, one-eyed, and there are also the one-eyed giants, and there's also the centaurs, were actually the half man, half horse, and the mermaids. They're all part of. They were designed a long time ago. They're not a myth. They're for real. They actually did exist, and they still do exist. They're actually on other planets. So, and I've seen them. I was very fortunate to I was doing a remote view on the moon, and that was, oh my God, let's go how far back do I have to go? Let's say maybe 20 years. And I remember seeing a gray fighting a centaur. Two were fighting amongst each other back and forth, or fighting over. It was something that was in their hand. Looked like a working like a staff of some sort with a crystal on the end of it, and they were fighting over it. But both of them actually had control of the other, like basic, or like there was no, like the gray could not overpower that being, that centaur, because, with his mind, because he was in the same category as power strong, and they're fighting amongst each other. And for some reason, I don't know what happened, but I'm watching them fight, and I guess as they're fighting back and forth, grabbing, holding, grabbing, fighting, they stopped for a moment and they turned this way towards me, like as if we can feel you, we can see you, we can hear you. And now they're looking at me, watching them. And for some reason, I don't know why, but they pulled my spirit up to that planet. And now I'm the one that held on. I was the one that had the staff, and I'm running with it, like as if I'm hiding it away from those two. That was the craziest thing I ever experienced in my life. And I had a hold of it. I didn't know what to do with it, and I went like, where do I go from here? And both of them were saying, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And I thought, well, which one would be the worst, or which one would be the nicest person to work with? So I bypassed the gray and I handed it to the guy that was half man, half horse, gave it to him, and then I walked away, or somehow I let go, and my like this back in my body, and so he had it. But for some reason, I was there. I felt it, and you just, you just know. So, um, yeah. So yeah, we do live in harmonic realities, and also I do believe in that we live in different kinds of alternative planetary systems. So we're not just, Earth is not just the only planet around, and we possibly could be in. I was just finished watching this movie just recently. Where is it here? Nope, spilled it. Oh, it's on the floor. Or is it on the floor? No, All right, you guys know this movie, right? Spider-Man. Now, when I wanted to why I wanted to watch it, because I've always been interested in multiverses, and I thought, this makes sense because I remember them. I mean, for almost every TV series you'd see, you always hear the word multiverse, multiverse, multiverse. So I decided to watch this movie, and when I did watch it, somehow my brain's going, yeah, we are in different multiverses. We're not just in the one. So then I asked Spirit, do we live in a multiverse? Are we just in one particular planetary system, or we live in multiverses? And the first thing that I got from them was yes, we do live in multiverses. We all take on different personalities of ourselves. We're good or bad. We are either passive or aggressive. We either are spiritual or just a common being. We have a world that's perfect, that we have no problems with. No, we don't have any of these problems here right now. None of this COVID stuff. Nothing ever exists. That we're perfectly fine. We're advanced. With all with we're way ahead of ourselves in advancement regarding technology, and we're fine. And yet this one here, I go like, well, then why am I here? Why am I not there? And they said, you are there. Well, what do you mean I'm there? You are there. Parts of you is there. That means your spirit, your DNA. Let's put it this way. For example, you have a DNA. You have an atom. If you click one atom, you split, right? Your DNA can split. So anything you break away, it splits away, and that's part of your multiverse. We live in a multiverse. Every time I take my hand and I'll say I had a bag full of marbles and I throw the marbles in the air, well, those are all multiverses. So now something's living on that one, somebody's living in this one, but it still relates to all of us because it's the same energy, except we act differently, look differently, become different, but everything's always positive because you're always throwing it in one direction, right? So that makes a whole lot of sense. I said, okay, fine. So what's my purpose here? And they're saying to help others in need, to help them make their life plan, help them with their life plan where they need to be, where they need to be. I said, well, is that why I got given a choice to leave at 16 years old, where I could have left at 16 and be in spirit, become somebody else, or wait until this whole thing was over, then get reborn? Or did I choose to stay because I want to take on this laboring world and learn things, more things from it, but also help other people? And that's what I did because I went consciously deciding to help people. And that's what Jesus wanted me to do. Every one of us has a role to play. Every one of us is given a gift. Every one of us is given to us, we may not think it's big enough. We think it's a small role we play. But every time we come on, whether I do this to you, go with you folks, whether it's a minimum amount of people or a lot of people, or how we present ourselves and stand in front of people, or even one person in a room, no matter what you say to that person, you've already changed their life. You always made it good because your intention was always good. And yes, there's people out there that they'll always trying to corrupt others and make them go the opposite direction. Well, that's their choice, right? That's called free will. So, but yet, that person who played that free will, and maybe he or she could have went bad, and in the other life, they may have, in another multiverse, they could be really super nice people. You see, so we have so many decisions and alternatives that we take in life that we don't realize that we can make soul decisions, not one, many soul decisions that I'd like to dream to see my, when I dream, I want to see myself do this. I see myself do that. I see myself do this. That's why we have hopes and faiths and prayers, and we want to see ourselves succeed. We want to see ourselves do better. I want to see myself traveling. I want to see myself flying. I want to see myself do many things. I don't want to see myself getting older too quickly. I want to see myself live longer. You see, because your intention is, I want to be here for a reason. I'm not afraid to die because I know what it's like to leave. It's just like you just leave and you have no feelings. You don't remember. Yeah, like once you leave this world, and I can tell you what it's like. When I the last life I had, I got shot by a bullet into me, and I left as if nothing ever happened. Like I was like gone. There was no breath, no nothing. You never had to worry about not breathing oxygen. You lifted and you're gone. Like you lifted into the clouds. I mean, look at clouds, and you're in this light, and you're with family again, people that you've left behind, or left you from behind here. And but it was never. It felt like it was just a minute, you know. But the thing is that, and I asked Spirit, I said, then why am I coming back? And they said, because you're always needed. For as many adventures you take, it's always because they're needed, and they need you because you care, that you want to. I mean, everybody has a care and want to be reborn, and yet you have people that are living on this earth, and times they'll say, well, I'm not going to come back here again. This is too hard. Well, that's your choice. But when you cross over and you come back in the spirit world, you're going to say to yourself, oh, I'm going to come back again. Oh, I'm going to come back again. I'll give it a shot. Yeah, I'll come back. Because you've already gone through the experience. Why would you worry about what happened in the past? You want to go through something different. So that's how it works. We will always make a soul decision, whether we make it or we don't. So anyways, I'm going to take calls. If you guys are interested in wanting to call for a quick read, if you want to ask a question or two, you're more than welcome to. I'll give you guys the number, 360-566-2875. And I'll put the number on here. Da, da, da. All right. And then that one on the screen, and this one here. Oops. That should work. So if you have any questions you want to ask, you want to share any information what's going on your side of the world, you're more welcome to hear from you. Let me turn on my Skype. If I don't turn it on, it'll just keep on ringing. Okay. And there we go. Okay. I'm more than welcome to ask a question if you need to find anything out, or you want to share any information from the other side of the world that you're at, whether you're American, Canadian, other countries. Like to hear from you guys too as well. What's happening in other worlds, because people like to hear from you. What else is what we need to talk about? That's pretty well done, the basics. But like I said before, we're getting close to November. You know, like I said before, and they always say, remember, remember the 5th of November. So it's getting pretty close. Now, I will say this, and that is the 5th of November could be the warning to the bad guys. But I would still like to see this whole thing get cleaned up. And I mean, I'm awake, you guys are awake, but the rest of the world still is going like, I'm not sure about that. So, and whoever doesn't want to wake up, they're going to be shown traumatically, and they're going to go like, I should have listened. So, Christopher Jacobs' official YouTube channel is Reincarnated Hercules. See for themselves. Yeah. Interesting. See that one as well. Hercules. Area code 571. Hello. Area code 571. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Who am I speaking to?
This is Daniel.
Hi, Daniel. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay. What can I do for you, sir?
Oh, I was just calling. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
Okay. If you actually turn down your volume for the show and just listen to my voice on their phone, be a lot better, because if you don't want to get double feedback. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
Yeah. So what can I do for you?
Can you hear me now? Because I just hit pause on your video. Can we still talk?
I can still hear you. I hear you very well.
Okay,
now.
Great. Yeah. All right, cool. I hit pause on the video. Yeah, I was just sending the messages. I thought it was fascinating. We were talking about harmonic, parabolic universe and experiences with grays, and I'm just beyond fascinated. I didn't want to monopolize your time, though.
Oh, no problem.
I want everyone to have a chance to talk to you.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
So I have.
Go ahead.
I wrote one of the things. I had an encounter with with an alien gray just one time, but it was in a dream state, and I knew it was real, and somehow I connected. They were getting into my consciousness, so it was almost like I was connected to whatever reality they were in, and what was really fascinating to me was that how small the thing was. It was like only 6 inches big, but it was extremely real. I would have thought that I had actually been abducted, but I had enough mental strength to know that it was almost like a simulation in my mind when I was dreaming, and that I was fighting. And it was kind of like one of these things where I saw the veil kind of pull away for a second.
Yeah.
That there's like like we're in a box within a box, and I just wanted to know your input on that, or if you had any experiences like that.
I have seen a lot of videos where there were beings that looked like alien grays that stood 6 inches tall, running across the floor, and most of them you would see them from Mexico, in the Mexican region, and or other beings as well. They look like grays, and especially they like to hang around children. So, but regarding them, I would say I really don't think you had a dream about the gray. I think that gray had you on the ship, so to speak. They were actually working on you. They always make you believe that you're actually dreaming. So then you don't go through the trauma and drama, because there are people that actually that through the years were taken on ships and being examined, and while they're awake and their trauma was too hard on them, they had a hard time dealing with it. So I would say most likely you were probably checked out. And but again, every consciousness that we have, everyone who's got a consciousness, we're protected by specific beings. And so whatever that gray had done probably had not spent enough time on you, because you probably had a specific mark on you. I will use the word mark or marker, that they were just basically telling it, they were told, like, hands off, you can't touch him. And
yeah, see, it's a strange thing, not to interrupt, but so when I was little, I came from a high military family.
Yeah.
And I was put through the ringer with the programs and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people talk about that stuff, but I actually went through it. And so I can always tell, like, the fakes from the real.
Yeah.
Because I've just been through it. And one of the things that was interesting when I was 8 years old was that door song, Break On Through to the Other Side.
Yeah.
And I had all these strange things, but right when he said, night divides the day, time to run, I realized he was doing, it was a spell. It was like an actual incantation that he was doing.
Yeah.
And it had an effect on me when I was 8, and literally my third eye just slammed open with it. And then that was my first visit with you, if you want to call it an angel, but that was my first visit where the thing revealed itself and said, hello, this is who I am, and this is what's going on, and this is who you are. And I've been able ever since then, since 8, to have that. It's just been different. I knew he said he was able to do this because of what they did to me.
Yeah.
He said they sold me out for rock and roll, for money and all that. And they didn't know what they were messing with. And because they did what they did, they could communicate with me on that level. And I want to know what you thought about that, or experiences with that.
So you're saying that the aliens sold you out for rock and roll, or the humans sold you out?
No, my family. My family did.
Yeah.
They're in the cult.
Yeah.
So when I was eight, the thing said it could come to me because of what they did. How they offered me up as an infant or a child, and that's
Yes.
why I could communicate, but it couldn't. Other people couldn't, like I could, because I was set aside.
Yeah.
And that's when it showed up. And so I've always been like in a different, almost like reality than other people, because what seems strange or whatever has just always been what I've known since a child. If that makes sense, it's just normal to me.
Oh yeah.
It's weird
When
to
I
other
was
people.
9 years old, I was taken on a ship myself out in Manitoba. So I've been taken on the ships for years, and then the last time I saw them in person was in the 2002. That's when I had a really good time being on the ship and travel. So, but um, everyone has a journey that they're taking, and they had plans for you. There are people. It's almost like Jordan Maxwell. When Jordan Maxwell was 19, and when the general showed up, a general was an extraterrestrial general, and he told Jordan that he's known of his existence, or been right next to Jordan, watching him since he was a boy. Then he also encouraged Jordan to come to California, because they needed Jordan. Jordan was going to be the person that will be exposing the truth in the future and the people that he'll meet. But throughout the time while he was doing his writings and sharing his stories, he fell in love with the general's daughter. But he could not marry her because she was over 1,000 years old. So, and she fell in love with him, and he fell in love with her. But the father said, "No, you can't. He's too young for you." Robbing the cradle, so to speak. Um, but the thing is
That's
that,
interesting. I never knew that. That's very
oh
interesting.
yeah, Jordan's been working with with extraterrestrials for Jordan Maxwell has been exposing I would say the deep state for over 60 plus years. And
Yeah. So my question with that is, like, all my encounters, it's always been about. I mean, it's almost like straight from the Bible, even though I didn't know the Bible or anything.
Yep.
But I mean, they were very upfront that there's a war, like a civil war, like angels, and
That's
that
true,
their
yeah.
races, they're like the rebels, and they're going to be extinct.
It's true.
And that was their big thing, is that if I don't, the choice that I make, and these choices, especially this last generation, is the survival of their species. I mean, they were very upfront to me, and I always thought it was kind of weird why they were telling me directly this stuff, and then it's different from what I hear other people who encounter. If you're following me, it seems more like babble or gibberish. Where for me, they were very straight and direct to the point.
Yeah, what it is that how do you explain this part? You are like I am. We both have markers on us. Okay, these are invisible markers. They're trackers. They're placed inside of us. And so, for example, the Greys can't touch me. Anybody who's corrupt that works, say for example, let's say as an example, they always hear the stories about Men in Black. They can't bother me. And if they try, then my friends from up above are going to come and collect them. Like there's a reason why each of us are placed here. We all have a purpose in life, and so you have a purpose, I have a purpose. Not everybody has that kind of a marker that we carry, but that's why we chose that before birth. We chose to be here, and that's why you're here. That's why I'm here. And so these are code markers, and it's hard to explain that part, but it's in us, and they know it. That's why a Gray will never come anywhere near me.
Yeah, I think with that, and I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
From what I've discovered is that there's a special class that they're afraid of, which is kind of like a definition of what a priest should be, where we're kind of like hybrids, where we have the fullness of this experience down here with, like, let's say mankind, but then we're able to experience what they experience. So it's almost like we're a bridge, like an intermittent. We can do both. Whereas as much they can't, we get to experience the fullness of both aspects.
Yeah.
Which is like a real threat to them, and it's like we're in utero, and we're not ready. We're getting ready to be born and take authority, take control. But we do kind of, I won't say they're jealous, they're afraid. And that's what always makes me scratch my head. It's like, why would you be afraid of just little me or little
that's
you?
what it is. It's an extra. No, they have it. There's a contract between all galactic planets, and they have to follow through that contract. And if they break that contract, then they're in deep shit. There have been galactic planets that have broken the contract. Next thing you know, there's a war on. So, but it's a galactic. That's why if you hear Trump talking about the Federation, Galactic Federation, it's for real. Earth does have a Galactic Federation now. It's official. There never was one before.
Do you believe they put wagers on individual souls, kind of like you remember like Job in the Bible, that they put wagers on individual people, almost like kind of like gladiator battles.
Well,
like if he does this and if he does that, if he goes here or he goes there, that's the wager of the game. Do you think they partake in that?
Well, I will say this: when President Eisenhower signed a contract to allow the Greys to take 1 million people off the planet to use them to examine in trade, that they were supposed to give you guys, us, technology. But what the Greys did, they lied. They took advantage and they went over 1 million took over 1 million people. Meantime, they got themselves in trouble. So, and it wasn't they didn't get themselves in trouble from not just Earth, but they got themselves in trouble with the Pleiadians, because the Pleiadians are our guardians over us. So they know there's a galactic federation that protects us as well, and if they interfere by doing this sneakingly, including the reptilians, if the reptilians also have an intergalactic planetary contract, and if they took advantage of that, then they're in deep shit too. So Pleiadians
I believe that. Not to interrupt you. I believe in the story Enoch with the 200 Watchers, the descendant of Mount Hermon.
Yeah.
And if they did have their own offspring and they did do that, I mean, we would have 200 different alien species because there are 200 unique Watchers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there would be 200 different, so it's just from them, 200 different lineages of their own hybrid children that, majorly populated on the Earth. And they're half spirit, half man. And so, I mean, right there, you have 200 different classes of aliens. Just two different, just because. Do you agree with that? Or do you think that's far off what I'm saying?
No, I married. Well, I'll tell you this: I married a giant. My wife.
Oh, did you?
My wife, when she was her past life, she was a giant. Her last life she was a giant. She was responsible. She said that what we found out, she did a hypnotherapy. She lived for 6 different lifetimes, 1,000 years each, and her responsibility was she worked on the flat top pyramids, and her job was to welcome the sun every morning, and she looked almost like a Mayan healer. Her job was to watch over the village, and if anybody gets sick or ill, that she'd make sure that they're taken care of and they're good. And she never had no man in her life, no partner whatsoever. But she didn't have animals with her, but there were black panthers, and these black panthers were 10 times the size of what you see today. And so those are her pets. They're the ones they were her guardians. So no one actually would make the attempt to, climb up to the top of the pyramid and tell her what to do, whatever have you. She had to come down herself and see how they're doing, and that's what her job was, to watch over them. She was a watcher. But she had 3 other sisters like her, but they were welcoming the moon, welcoming in the elements, and the other one was to do with a life force of sort. I can't remember what it was, but it was supposed to be 4 sisters. And so she met with the 3. She met with those 3 before. I would say it was in White Rock back in around year 2000. She met with her 3 sisters that she had her past life, because all 3 ladies, when they did all past lives together, they actually said the same thing together when they're doing their meditations, and they all said the same words at the same time. They're all sisters and they're all giants. These girls stood about 10, 12, 14 feet, 25 feet tall. So
That's
apparently
fascinating.
my wife
That's
said that
fascinating.
I said to my wife, well, where was I? Was I there with you? And she goes, no. But she said, you were in the village by yourself. So I was just a regular person down below on the ground in the village, but she was up above. She was I would say, looking to her as my medicine woman.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I do. One of the things is which is interesting, because kind of being like temples ourselves, is that when you have spirits and stuff that travel in and out of you, they do have their memories, and I warn people too that you have to. It takes a lot of mental concentration to not be lost in the memories of whatever's in you at the time.
Yeah.
Or traveling through you, because you got to differentiate what your memories are specifically from whatever's you're sharing the memories with whatever's been traveling for millennium that's with you. And I always feel like that's very confusing, and it just takes a lot of meditation and a lot of life experience to discern. I think if people get lost in that, because they lose their identity. I don't know. Does that make sense? Do you ever feel like you have to be very careful with that?
Well, I've never had to worry about if I should relive the same life I had before, but I do take pride in what I've done before. Like I tell people,
no, I mean, like, you remember like Venom from like Spider-Man? I don't know if you remember the symbiote, that alien thing. They just made a movie with it, where it attaches.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what happened. Like, for instance, with me was whatever they did and whatever happened, I had this extremely high-ranking, whether you want to call it a demon or whatever. And it wasn't like the fallen angel or whatever or whatever you want to say that was visiting with me. I had personally this thing like the venom, like the symbiote assigned to me. And it was extremely powerful. What I realized real quick is it came down to authority and rank. So if my thing had more rank than the other ones did, they were helpless.
Yeah,
but there was real power in terms of saying, I'm sorry not to talk too much. I apologize.
No, but in the end, he ate his own symbiote.
That's kind of where I was going with that.
But you remember that? In the end, he ate his own symbiote.
Right. And that, yes. And I know with myself, what happened was, I remember that what was fascinating to me was there were people that were completely off limit to me. And I think this was about 12, 13, 14. And I couldn't do anything to them. I couldn't read them. I couldn't influence them. I couldn't touch them. They were completely off limits. And it really fascinated me, because I was like, the light is much more powerful than the dark. Like it's like you said, you're in deep shit, you know, when you're talking about, I mean, you just can't touch it. And I just really realized that, going to the source, whether you want to say the Father or the Creator or, these higher ups, they're nothing to trifle with.
There's one thing that people need to know. I mean, the thing is that the reason why that movie was made was to try to, I guess you say, fight the difference against good and evil. Each of us, I mean, when he lost that piece of symbiote and that symbiote regrew itself, it was evil. So he gave up a piece of his evil, that part of him that he was no longer attached to. But in the meantime, it was trying to get him back to become evil as well, and he refused. So that's like part of consciousness. We do have guilts that we carry from us from the past, that things that we may have harmed others before, and we need to learn to forgive ourselves for what we had done, and ask for forgiveness if we harmed them, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual. But the fact is that this is what I felt, what came from it, because every time that Stan Lee or anybody that made any of these kind of books, they put a storyline to them that tells a story of what these guys may have gone through themselves, or they're trying to give you a bit of consciousness, to say, or a conscience, say, like, okay, this is not just about a Superman and he's the world's strongest man. They talked about that Superman can also be human, and he wants to be like us, but people won't let him be like us. Well, why? Well, because he's stronger than us. Well, not really, because only if he needs to be of service. It's like being a minister. When you're of service, your strengths are God, but calling in God to help. But also, we don't always have to depend on the priest or the pastor to call in God. We can do the same thing ourselves. So the people are always depending on someone that's we are believing are higher above, that are better than or higher than us, because they give themselves a title. And that S does not always mean Superman. Could also mean superior. Could also mean strength. Could be whatever S you see. But the thing is that it also means like us. We have to learn to stand up for ourselves. And if we haven't, it's time. And if we have, then do better. So
right, and to completely, maybe I don't know if you agree on this, but to say how much I agree with you is that I've always had this deep instinct in myself from day one.
Yeah.
That to return to Adam, or the first man. Like when Adam fell or whatever happened, he lost his authority. So to fulfill what you're saying is that we have authority over.
Yeah, but Adam
lost
his. Yeah, but Adam did not lose. Yeah, but Adam didn't lose his authority. He lost his position because his wife bit into the apple, so to speak. It's symbolism. It's not just the apple alone. It's a symbolism. Like he was asking her, "Don't eat that apple." Like he was wanting for her to have faith in him and not to have faith in the whoever this corrupt person was telling her what to do. Oh, don't listen to him. Do what you want to do. So, you're a woman. You can.
I believe it came down. I believe it came down to very simply just that they were spiritual beings, and then they became half animal, half spirit, because they covered up their private parts. I mean, it wasn't because they were stupid.
Well, the private parts actually they weren't really covering their private parts until that wasn't really that wasn't important at the time. But I think with the private parts they were covering up because their garden was not always absolutely perfect. Okay. Again, it was actually, how do you say this? Where what Eve had done was not, like, my understanding is this: even what Eve had done was for her to make her own self decisions, and whether she was right or wrong, it makes no difference. What was important that she learned to become independent. And it used to be that the wife or the girlfriend, the mate, is always by your partner's side, never greater than or less than. But whatever this creature was that influenced her told her, oh, you don't need him. You can be the one in the garden. You can be the one that's superior. So she just said, yeah, I'll just do this. But she wasn't really doing it because she wanted to do it. He tried to talk her into it. So she bit into it, but doesn't mean she ate the whole apple. Here's the thing, folks. Here you got to think about the fact, the fracture of the story. She bit into the apple. She didn't completely tear it off. She bit into it, and all of a sudden, God said, "Oh, what are you doing, Eve?" Well, he told me to bite into the apple.
You don't think she had sex with the snake?
No.
Because she had Cain and Abel, and then they say the Lord had given me Cain and Abel.
But the apple was based on eating what the serpent gave her. She didn't pick the apple; it gave her the apple. So whatever he placed into the apple, she ate it. See, here's the thing that most people may not understand. Cain and Abel, yes, they were brothers. Cain was not good. He turned evil after, but he was jealous of his brother. And Cain himself, actually, when he killed his brother, when he was saying enough is enough, he killed his brother. Then he kept on hiding his brother all the time. Everywhere he went, every night, God was chasing him around, kept saying, Cain, where's Abel? Cain, where's Abel? Until to the point that Cain had to come up with an idea. So each night, Cain was taking parts of Abel and eating him. So that's where the word Cain Abel Cain, Abel, cannibal.
Yeah.
He became a cannibal.
Cannibal, yeah.
Right? That's where cannibals came in, which basically became the demon of the garden. And that would be Cain turned evil, which was on the side of Canaan. Okay, so.
But why would the Freemasons put more emphasis on Kubla Khan than actual Cain? I always thought that was kind of weird.
Well, here's the thing. Originally, the original Freemasons were following God's rules, like in the Bible itself. And then later on through the years, when the Bilderbergs and the Rothschilds and them got a hold of that book itself, and they start reading it, and they're reading through it, and they're going like, wait a minute here, we're gonna make some adjustments here. So they decided to make some adjustments, and so they changed it their way. So they used some of the philosophies of the Bible, but they twisted it around. They made it where it's based on Satan and it had nothing to do with God. And they kept on saying about the same thing about Jesus. They kept saying Jesus is not the only one, is the Son of God. You are all gods. And so they're making all of us gods above Jesus. And they kept on saying Mary is the main one that you need to listen to. She's the one that brought you here, not Joseph. They forgot the Father. That's why and they're going like, wait a minute here. Joseph is the one that helped bring Mary in, and Joseph was actually Mary did not have a child through an angel. Mary had a child through Joseph. Joseph was the carrier of the light of the angel through him. And everybody kept on believing that she was the mother of as a virgin and gave birth from an angel. No, she did not. She gave birth because Joseph was connected to the angel. The angel told Joseph, you need to be with Mary. Because Joseph actually was part of the Essenes people, the Essenes. If you looked at the Essenes and read about the Essenes, you'll know where Joseph actually, his practice was very spiritual. And they were very, very well-known healers. And so he also, Joseph knew how to communicate with the spirit world and talk to God as well. So he was led to Mary, and then Mary, they fell in love, but they were secretly seeing each other. It wasn't just Mary met Joseph. It was like they secretly seeing each other, and then they, I guess to say, fornicated secretly, and then they were trying to make it look as if it was so innocent that the angel came through and gave Mary Jesus. No, it wasn't that. Why would the angel come through and give Mary Jesus? Why would God get Mary pregnant? Doesn't make any sense. That's actually having an affair, right? So Mary, what God had done is he blessed Joseph with Mary, blessed Joseph with Mary to have the birth of a child. So Jesus did not become the Christ at birth. He became the holy child at birth, but he did not become a Christ child until he's 21. So there's a difference.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that, that, because it's a theory at the end of the day, and a lot of that is a theory. Either way you look at it, if you're going to say it's a virgin birth, that's a theory.
No, it's not. You're saying it's a theory. No, I learned from Spirit. Spirit told me this. They showed me what did happen. It's not from someone else. It's not a theory. This is not research through a freaking Bible. I'm not saying wrong. Through other, I call it freaking because to me, other weird Bibles.
No, it's fine.
The original Bible itself actually was written in German and in Latin before that. So not many people really knew that. Plus, I was having, I'm not sure if you've been to my page at all, but on for about 3 or 4 nights straight, I was having, I'm not a person that always reads the Bible. I have the odd one, but I always thought that the one Bible is a Bible, but that's not, because mankind always likes to change it. So what happened for me, I kept on getting this name coming through. I kept hearing Vulcan all the time. I kept hearing, not Vulcan, but Vulgan, Vulgan. And then I hear Vulgate. I kept hearing Vulgate. and here's Vulgate. You
Mm-hmm.
need to do some research on Vulgate. Well, who in the heck is Vulgate? And I thought maybe it's extraterrestrial. So I typed in the word, okay, what is the Vulgate? What is Vulgate? Well, I found out later it actually is the original beginning overview of the true Bible of the year
Mm-hmm.
4th century in Latin. That was the first one that was translated long before it was corrupted.
That was from Jerome.
Yep.
From Saint Jerome.
Yeah, from Saint Jerome. Long before it was corrupted, and after and then after that it got corrupted. Okay, the Bible got corrupted after, because remember what Jesus said to me, that the Bible now is 7/8 untrue. What he's saying, it has gotten twisted around so much that it was going by other people's opinions in the quotations of the chapters. So it was never translated properly. So if you read the original scriptures, you'll have a better understanding that here's the real true story. This one here, for example, they'll say, I remember one of the Bibles back in 1990s, late 1990s, that one of the Bibles came out, it says, beware of the psychic. And I go like, why is it saying beware of the psychic? So, and I said, that's a Hebrew, the psychic, the word psychic is a Greek word, means beware of the soul. But the word psychic means soul or soul seer. So why beware of the soul seer? But the original quotation was beware of the soothsayer, which means one who gambles property. Okay, it had nothing to do with psychics. It had nothing to do with being a reader or telling your fortune. But what it was, that everybody kept on changing the name and adding this to it. It used to be, before that, they used to say during the Roman time period, beware of the astrologer. Then is beware of this. Then beware of the fortune teller. Beware of this person, beware of that person. Then next thing you know, you hear the word, and then you start seeing that word, beware of the psychic in the Bible. Like, who's putting them in here? You see? But the people are believing, oh no, they wouldn't change that. No, they wouldn't change that. Yes, they did. They will change the scriptures for a reason, and that is because they don't want you to know the truth. They will twist the story, because anytime you come across people on TV that they're saying they're doing their sermons, you'll see every one of them always say praise Satan. They're not saying praise Jesus. Most of them always say praise Satan, but they'll say it really quick. Praise Satan. Praise Satan. And when you hear that, you're going like, hey, why are these here? Like guys like Benny Hinn and people like them. Those are the ones that are doing it. And yet people are going, I'll give you millions of dollars. I'll help you help save me. Really?
Well, yeah, I mean, even Jesus is a bastardized name from it. I mean, it's not, it's just crazy. I mean, it's in English, Jesus is Joshua.
Well, yeah, Joshua or
Hebrew, but
Yahweh.
Jesus is a really strange name to somehow translate from Greek. I mean, it's really bizarre how we even say Jesus.
Well, if you look at Jesus in Spanish, it's Jesus. And
that's what I'm saying.
And if you're Swiss, if you're Swiss, you're saying Jesus. They don't use
it really is. I mean, that's the fascinating part of Catholicism.
Yeah.
As a lot of it's a black mass. And people don't realize
they're
participating in the crucifying him over and over again. They don't realize that.
I always tell people, as long as we have good intention of prayer and who we're focusing on to help us, on our journey, like Jesus, thank you so much, God, thank you. Jesus is not God. God is God. Jesus is the Son of God. And there's a lot of churches making that mistakes too. They're thinking that Jesus is the God. No, Jesus is the Son of God. There is God and there's Son of God. Jesus is assisting his Father. That's why they call it the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And they even took that word Holy Spirit away, right? So they used to be called the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, I believe, when I disagree with you with that is I believe that Jesus is the Father. The Father came down like in an avatar form. The Father just literally came down in that form and then said, hey, and then it's almost like getting down on your knees to play with the kids, getting down there and saying, hey, I'm coming to your level.
Let me ask you this question. Have you seen Jesus?
Yeah, I have, I'm going to say physically, I have seen him once physically.
Okay. When?
I have, he came to me. He actually came to me when I was 14. The very first thing he said to me, because I was about to, I'm not going to say sell my soul, but I was going to do what was asked of me to be officially in the, the ranks of the, because that's how I was raised.
Yeah.
And Jesus, he came to me, and the very first thing he said, so I was very, I could communicate very easily. So Jesus coming to me, I always had a sense of the Father in heaven constantly through creation, through the animals. The animals would communicate to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I could literally talk to birds and all that stuff, and then it started going away when I was like, as I was going to school and getting older, so I started losing those gifts. But it was very natural for me to talk to him. But my heart, I went through so much ritualistic abuse and stuff. I was not this whole love part of me and happiness. This was more just like being a soldier, a gun for hire. And so when he came to me, he said, "I'll give you 100 times more than what the other guy offered you."
Yeah.
And then very first thing I ever said to Jesus was, I said, "How convenient you show up now." It wasn't like I said that to him. I said, "It's convenient."
Yeah, yeah.
Right, like because I knew I was a pawn.
Well, I'm glad you actually have seen him.
In the chessboard.
I'm very happy that you actually had seen him. I met him twice in my youth when I was 8 and I was 16. When he came to our garden, I was working in the garden on our farm, and we never went to. I never went to church in my life, and he showed up and he was wanting to talk to me. And I wasn't messed up. I was just trying to figure where my life is going from there. But the thing is that both you and I are very fortunate we're able to see him and actually communicate with Jesus. Not many people had that opportunity, and there are people out there that actually have probably seen him maybe more than once. And then people will meditate and they'll talk to him through meditation, that sort of thing, which is great. It's fun. It's so absolutely enjoyable. And I can tell when I know their presence, and I'm sure you will say the same, you'll agree with this, but you'll know when their presence is in the room because they make you feel so emotionally, like you're giving all yourself to him, like the energy of there's nothing but unconditional love. And I just dropped to the floor. Like I dropped to the ground when I saw him. I know who you are, and dropped to the ground. And I was in tears. And I remember him walking up to me and he put his hand on my head and he says, "Bless thy child, for you shall do great things." And I had this huge unconditional feeling of energy coming right through me, nothing but unconditional love. It was like I was just emotional. And
yeah, absolutely.
And yet you and I are out there and we're doing our darndest, trying to share the stories of our experiences, and for others to know that not to give up, to keep going.
Right. I think you end up becoming the Quantum Leap guy. I mean, if you really follow him, it's like that show Quantum Leap. That's what you become, because you just end up doing special missions for him. And there's all these souls that need countless help and saving and being there at the right place at the right time, saying the right thing, and you can stay busy working for him 24/7. I mean, and I tell him, I'm like, you ran into me. I joke around. I said, I'm last chance Dan, the Quantum Leap guy. I'm like, you ran into me. It's because Dad's got business with you. And I said, I got great news and I got horrible news for you. I said, great news is Dad loves you. And I said, horrible news is Dad loves you. You're in for it now. I was like, you're screwed. And that's where you can tell the real from the fake, because they're all about getting scalps and I got look at my 100 people I saved and an auditorium. And that's not how he works at all.
No,
not even a little bit. No, he wants you got to roll up your sleeves and have an intimate relationship, talk and be there. It's quality, not quantity. And it's better to show up with something, a masterpiece, and you might only have 3 or 4 like real masterpieces, but what an offering to him, and what joy, instead of running around and saying, hey, look at me and look at my subscribers and look at this and that. And it's like, if you're doing that, you don't know his craftsmanship.
Yeah. I think the most interesting part is there was a story about this priest, very well-known priest, a Catholic priest, and he felt he was going to be he figures when he dies, he'll be by Jesus' throne. Like, he'll be the man of the hour, and he'll get to stand by Jesus and be there for 100%. And So he, of all the people he was supposed to be helping to save, and yet he was always verbally abusive to his wife. He kept telling her, "Woman, get me this. Woman, get me that. Woman, cater to me. Woman, this. Woman, that." Telling her what to do. That was his wife, and she would do everything that he wanted her to do, right? And she never said a word, never complained. And then it came a time where she had passed away, and then he came to his time after when he was about to pass away, and he thought, "Well, I'll get to be right next to God," and so he's looking around and going like, "Where's everybody? I can't find nobody." And so next thing you know, there's an angel that showed up, and there's a visual scene that he's seen his wife, and there's a white picket fence, and there's a beautiful little house, and there's a garden, and there she's got her garden, and she's got all kinds of people there that are with, they're around her, wishing her well. And then he looked at her, he looked at this man, or one of the angels, and he kept saying, "Well, why am I not next to my wife? Why am I not with her?" And he said, "Because you ignored her. And so she thought you didn't love her, that she was only your servant. So to her, she chose to have her garden." And he said, "Well, I have the right to be by Jesus' side. I did my work." And he goes, "Did you?"
Right.
I tell people,
Yeah.
don't forget the people closest to you. You think you're going to save the world, but you always have to be with your partner, and you also respect your partner as well, and you love your child, your partner. You don't just treat them like servants, because it's not what they are. And that's exactly what the Palpo did. Is they treated these people like servants. They were always saw them as underlings, not equals. So
Did you know that the vicar? I try to tell people. Do you know the word vicar in Latin means the exact same thing as anti in Greek? Did you know that?
the word
So
Vatican. The word
so
Vatican
the
is
crown
also,
he wears. Yeah, the crown he wears, a
yeah,
triple crown.
yeah.
It says Vicar of Christ, and in Greek it would say Antichrist, which I tell that to people. I'm like, it's right on his crown.
Well,
It
basically
literally says
the same
in gold
thing.
letters Antichrist in Greek.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, come on.
Well, the word Vatican in Latin
Right?
means Satan's throne.
It does. It does. Well, I believe, and this is kind of like one of my gifts, and I tell this to people that if you choose to, like the Matrix, take the whatever the pill, and have a relationship and do what we're doing, is I tell them that you quicken.
Yeah.
And you get these gifts, and it's very profound. And I'm always telling them, I'm so fascinated with gifts they're going to be given, because the gifts are very diverse. But I know with one of the gifts I was given was just an ability to research and retain knowledge and information freakishly. And so I've gone through all that. They actually, a lot of the priests and stuff, they meet me because I've gone over all the Gnostic writings, and they ask me like, "Hey, is this a forgery, or when's this or that?" And they have me go over documents and stuff, because I love history so much. But going to the Vatican is a lot of this that they don't look at, is this whole concept of Osiris arisen. And I just think it's completely gone over everyone's head what their end game is, and this whole concept of why they have that obelisk in there, and what that obelisk means, and why it's a keyhole, and what the final Messiah, this Antichrist Messiah, is.
Well, I will
really
say
hidden
that
in Revelation.
Yeah.
And they really look over it. Not to talk over you, but I was just going to throw that out.
I will say, but the Vatican's going to go down anyways. The Vatican actually itself is going to be grounded pretty soon. It'll be taken down. I mean, I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about the building itself. When they find out what's inside, they're going to end up being just taken down. I want to thank you for coming on, my friend, and the length of time we spoke. It was really lots of fun to have you on, and I really appreciate you talking.
Yeah, and I hope I didn't. Apologies to anyone out there that wanted to call or talk.
I like giving people an opportunity.
I don't want to be that guy.
I like giving people an opportunity to have a chat, and I really enjoy your company. It's fantastic.
All right. Hey, and you have my number, so anytime off the show, if you ever want to give me a call, me a call or send me a text. I'd love to talk to you again. I learned so much from you. So this is awesome. Thank you so much.
You take care,
God
Daniel.
bless you from my heart, sir.
Okay. God
Take
bless
care,
you, my
sir.
friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So I got one more thing, folks, to talk about, and to end that is one more thing, and that is today I got sent this, and I thought it was pretty cool. Before we close off, and there's Dr. Nagase came upon a copy of Canada's 1954 criminal code. And folks, you're going to be blown away when you hear this. Please understand. I mean, some of you can see, will end up seeing this. Some of you probably have not. But this happened here in Canada, and what happened was what he had stated. He did some research. It says Dr. Nagase, Nagase, came upon a copy of Canada's 1954 criminal code and discovered a law on spreading misinformation, fake news, as an actual crime. That same law was removed by Canada's sitting parliament in 2019. The Liberal government, Trudeau, removed it, okay, right before the pandemic started. Now here's that video. I'm going to have you guys listen to it, and some of you may be able to see it through Facebook. I'm going to actually plan to see if I can move this over to the screen. Look on Facebook, you'll see it. I will play it. There we go.
How about Parliament? Do we think we can trust Parliament because we elect their members? I'll tell you what happened in 2019. There was something called Bill C-39. I happened to come across a 1954 version of the Canadian Criminal Code. And in that 1954 version, there was a crime for spreading false news. That was an actual crime in 1954. And then I came across a 2020 version of the Canadian Criminal Code, and I noticed that section was missing. So when was the crime of spreading false news removed from the Canadian Criminal Code? I did some more research. It was 2019. The spread of false news was removed from the Criminal Code of Canada by Parliament in 2019. So can we trust government? That's right. You can't trust an entire government that steals your money, tells you can't take an effective treatment, doesn't even investigate the vaccines that it's promoting to see if they're pure, contaminated, or just poisons from the get-go. And you have a parliament that we supposedly elect that's looking out for us, that says, you know what? We're just going to give CBC, CTV, and all the mainstream media conglomerates free rein to lie as much as possible with no consequences. Now, so we can't trust government.
So now you guys know what he just had stated on Twitter. Okay, well, it's placed on Twitter. And if you want to have a look, it's under the name M-O-G, M-O capital G. And she made that statement, or he made that statement, Dr. Nagase. He, not she. Young lady who actually shared that with her post. But now someone's got the long version of his presentation. So I'm looking for him to do I'm looking for the long version. So if anybody you know that has the long version of the presentation, I'd love to get that from you guys, and you can pass it on to me. I'll love to put it on my True North Strong and Free page on my Twitter, on my Telegram, and also in my Facebook, because everyone needs to know what's going on, get the truth out there, because we need to get this law placed back into the section, because that will get these people back in trouble. Because especially when Trudeau made the statement, folks. His statement was that he did give $450 million to the mainstream media to lie for him. But he said that after this was removed. You guys get it now? So that needs to be taken care of. So, gotta get done. Get her done, right? I want to thank everybody for being on the program, listening in. Those are in the chat rooms. Thank you guys for being on the program. And if you want to, if anybody's interested in wanting to get a reading from me, you're more welcome to. You can contact my number or my website, whiteskycloud.com. I do have pages and Derek White Sky Cloud. If you want to get a psychic reading, to make an appointment, if you want to make me a friend on Facebook, if you haven't done it yet, please do. You'll see me holding a little green little alien baby in my arms. The one I would recommend you to join on that one. Join me on Telegram as well. I use that a lot on the True North Strong and Free page. And join as a friend and a group, because you want to get updated. That's where most of your updates come from. And then I get all my intel from other people and I pass it on across. I also have Donald Trump's people, JFK Jr.'s people, they actually send me their stuff into my page as well. So it's happening. We're getting close. Anyways, guys, enjoy your Hallows Eve. So those of you who actually will be practicing a little bit of Devil Made You Do It weekend. That's coming up. Let's see here on the 31st, and we are, you got another week off. No, we're good for another week. Or is it? Hang on a second. Have a quick look. Is it? No, you're not. Not another week. You got just in a few days. This coming Tuesday, right? It is. So you guys are going to be end up doing some hauntings. And I remember when I did a couple years back, we did a psychic party for Halloween at one time, and then another one we did a paranormal investigation on Halloween. It was crazy. So, but I don't recommend anybody using any Ouija boards on Halloween. Not a good idea. Witching hour. Okay. Anyways, folks, take good care of each other and be good to each other and love each other, and be God be with you guys all. We will see. I'll talk to you guys next week, and hopefully our websites are still up. Hopefully our internet's still up. All right. We'll see what happens. Take good care, guys. We'll see you then.
Everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one. So you and I gotta learn to live together. With one piece, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright, isn't it time for to stop time? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting in the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. We one heart, we one needs. We all gotta learn to live together. Peace, in peace, in peace. Alright, make peace, peace.